Hi, my name is Amanda Schreiber, and I'm doing a lesson today on summarizing in a nonfiction text. You will need a pencil and a paper, and I also have a QR code at the end, so if you want to go ahead and get that app downloaded on your device, you may do so now. Let's get started by getting ourselves calm, alert, and ready to learn with this Go Noodle.
From mindless to mindful. To be mindful is to let your attention rest on this moment, on just right now. Let's practice being in the moment. Your body is still, right now. Can you feel that? Your breath is moving in and out of your nose. Can you notice that? Rest one hand on your chest. Can you feel your breath? Move that hand to your belly. Notice breath there. Can you feel that? Bring your hands around to your back. Breath might be moving there. Feel that? This bell is ringing right now. Can you hear that? Where is your attention? Did it wander? It's okay. That's what minds do. Let's practice a little bit more. Now this bell is ringing. Can you hear that? This green dot is still. Can you see that? Some of the other dots are moving. Notice that and then focus your attention on the very still dot. Return your attention to your body. Hands. They're still. Can you feel them? Feet are still. Can you feel them? You are here right now. Can you feel that? In this moment, you are mindful. Do you notice that? There are moments in your day when you can practice being mindful. When you are reading, just read. When you are tying your shoe, just tie your shoe. When you are chewing your food, just chew. Your mind can be full of one thing, one moment at a time.
Today is on standard 4RN 2.2. It states to determine the main idea of a text and explain how it is supported by key details. Summarize the text. In our I can statement today, I say, you say. I can summarize the text. Good job. Let's watch this vocabulary, and as we watch, I want you to get out that piece of paper and your pencil and jot down anything that you think is important for summarizing a text.
Boom! You already know it's the Flowcab crew. What? It's a song about summarizing. Where? Brooklyn. Why? For school. When? Right now. The reason it's helpful to summarize a text is to tell someone the gist, and so you don't forget. Put only relevant facts in a summary. That means important in case you were wondering, but don't make your summary too short. That leaves us asking questions and wanting more. Like, let's say you read the BFG. Your summary, it's about a girl named Sophie and a giant. I liked it a lot, but you didn't mention anything about the plot. That summary is missing critical facts. You said you liked it, we don't need to know that. But that's not the only way that you can go wrong. Sometimes summaries are way too long. Only key events and main ideas should be in it. So cut out any extra info to win it. If you read an article on greenhouse gases, I don't need to know that the interviewer wore glasses. When summarizing, 5 things will get you by. Who, what, when, where, and why. Like, who is Sophie? What happens in the story? When does it happen? Today or 1940? Where does it take place? You gotta set the scene. And why is the book called the BFG? These are called the 5 W's. And when you summarize, they are something that you should use. And remember, it's just the facts, ma'am. So drop anything else in the trash can. A summary is a short explanation with just the important information. When you summarize, make it simple. Cut out the details and keep what's essential. A summary is a short explanation with just the important information. When you summarize, make it simple. Cut the details and keep what's essential. You know what a summary is now. Wanna write one? Yeah. Well, here's how. You code while you read, then write it up. I'll explain all that before our time is up. First up, coding. What does it mean? Coding's marking the text while you read. Use symbols to mark important facts, like a check mark to say, I already knew that. Reread any section that troubles you, and look for info on the 5 W's. As you read the second time, take good notes. Write down the information that stands out most, like who, what, when, where, and why. Now that you read the text, it's time to summarize. Organize your notes and gather your thoughts so that you're ready like a real boss. Recap what you read in your own words. Use complete sentences and those key terms. Once you write the summary, review and revise. Remove your opinions and keep it concise. You can summarize anything you read or watch. A short movie or a book about our need for socks. In many reviews, you'll see summaries a lot, sticking to main ideas and the plot. A summary is a short explanation with just the important information. When you summarize, make it simple. Cut out the details and keep what's essential. A summary is a short explanation with just the important information. When you summarize, make it simple. Cut the details and keep what's essential.
All right, so get out that piece of paper and pencil again. We're gonna take some notes. I want you to think of the who, what, when, where, and why. And if you recall a few lessons back, we talked about the main idea of the whole passage, so some of these answers might be familiar to you. So let's read the story. Threatened. Loggerhead sea turtles glide gently through many of the world's oceans. They are known for their beauty and graceful nature. Once widely hunted, they continue to face threats both in the water and on land because of pollution and natural predators. Description. Largest of the hard-shelled turtles, adult male loggerheads usually weigh about 250 pounds. They are not as big as soft-shelled leatherback turtles, though. Leatherback turtles can weigh over 1,000 pounds. With wide heads and very powerful jaws, the loggerhead's strong jaws help them crush and eat shellfish. They eat clams, crabs, and sea urchins. They also eat jellyfish, squid, and fish. Habitat. Loggerhead turtles live in the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean, and the Mediterranean Sea. They inhabit both deep ocean waters and shallow coastal waters. They travel long distances between their ocean feeding areas and their nesting beaches. Pacific loggerhead turtles migrate from Japan all the way to the coast of Mexico. They travel over 7,500 miles in the ocean. Biology. Although they spend most of their life at sea, loggerheads build their nests on beaches. Female turtles lay 3 to 5 nests of eggs during a nesting season. These nests are called clutches. Each nest contains 100 to 120 turtle eggs. The eggs incubate in the nests for 2 months before they hatch. Loggerhead hatchlings are very small. They measure about 2 inches in length. The hatchlings usually emerge from their nests at night when the sand is cool. They make their way to the ocean by following the light of the moon and stars reflected in the water. The baby turtles then live for months eating and floating in large masses of seaweed. Threats. Loggerhead turtles face a number of threats in their ocean environment. Ocean pollution can be very harmful to the turtles. Plastic bags are sometimes dumped into the ocean. Loggerheads mistake the floating bags for jellyfish and eat them. This makes them very sick. Loggerhead turtles also get trapped in fishing lines and fishing nets. Their hatchlings and eggs also face threats on land. Predators like raccoons and snakes eat turtle eggs and hatchlings. Destruction of their beach nesting areas also puts them at risk. Because of the many dangers they face, loggerhead turtles are considered a vulnerable species. Conservation. People around the world are working hard to protect them. Volunteers help keep predators away from turtle nesting areas. They also help reduce ocean pollution. Conservation organizations work closely with fishermen to use turtle excluder devices, or TEDs, on their nets. These devices make sure that loggerhead turtles do not get trapped in nets. Scientists estimate that there are between 40,000 and 50,000 nesting female loggerhead turtles worldwide. So thinking back to our last lesson, one of the things that we focused on was our text features. And I just wanted to point them out again. Remember, our heading is threatened, or our title, and description and habitat are 2 subheadings. And remember, we also looked at our graphic organizer. I have habitat at the top. Last time we did this, we used description and we focused in on the subheadings description. And this time we're gonna focus on the habitat. So looking at this passage, this section of our passage, habitat. Loggerhead turtles live in the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean, and the Mediterranean Sea. So we're just focusing on just that one sentence. And then we're going to look at our graphic organizer. We're coding, or we are actually taking what we read and we're going to just take notes on that specific sentence. So I'm going to make a bullet point, and I'm going to jot down LT for loggerhead turtles, and I'm just going to jot down also, I don't want to write all those things out, all those ocean names, because it's not really important. It's just my notes. So remember, I have a bullet point, and I put live in PO for Pacific Ocean, AO for Atlantic Ocean, IO for Indian Ocean, and then Med C for Mediterranean Sea. Now let's look at the next sentence. They inhabit both deep ocean waters and shallow coastal waters. So again, I'm going to go over here to my graphic organizer, and you should be doing this with me. You just make a big circle and make it look like a peace sign. So I have this in here, this note here in my first little pie piece. I want to add in my new note for my second sentence, and that was deep ocean and shallow coastal. I'm still talking about where they live, so I'm keeping it in that same pie piece. The next sentence, they travel long distances between their ocean feeding areas and their nesting beaches. So going back to my graphic organizer, I'm going to add that note in as well. I want you to think, is that sentence a new thought, or is it still talking about where they live? Jot down what you think you would write for this last sentence that I just read. Travels far to their nest. That's the note that I wrote down. You might have a little bit more, or you might have a little bit less, but you should have something similar to what I have. Let's look at the next sentence. Pacific loggerhead turtles migrate from Japan all the way to the coast of Mexico. So notice in the last one, I put my note in another pie piece because I'm talking about how they're traveling or where they're traveling to. And it didn't really talk about where they live, but it's talking about what they're doing. So I started a new pie piece. So my next note, see if you can write this something down too. I wrote down migrate from Japan to coast of Mexico. Again, you might have something very similar, or you might have written the same thing, but we should have similar ideas. And the very last sentence, they travel over 7,500 miles in the ocean. Am I talking about traveling? Am I talking about where they live? Or is it a new idea? What did you write down? Should have gone right here in this same pie piece because again, we're talking about what happened, how far they traveled. We're not talking about where they live anymore. We're talking about where they're traveling. So now remember, we take all of these ideas, all of our notes from our note catcher, and we're going to create a main idea sentence. So if I look up here, I can come up with probably thinking about their deep ocean, so where they were located in part of the world. So the deep ocean and the shallow coastal waters of the world, that's where they're located. And then I want to talk about something about where they traveled. So again, I need to bring in my subject, which is loggerhead turtles. And I want to talk about their traveling. And they travel many miles to build their nests. So we know that they're traveling and migrating, so I wanted to say something about that. So note our passage, and when we find the main idea, we get smaller. We just want to have one sentence instead of 5 or 6. All right, so thinking about our couple lessons back, we found the main idea of the whole entire passage. And I have that in the center here, and I wrote the exact thing that we had written in that first main idea of the whole passage. In threatened, which is the title of our article, loggerhead turtles continue to face threats on both water and land because of pollution and natural predators. Now, I know that we did a big graphic organizer. Well, I want to make sure that I have each one of those graphic organizers. I'm going to have each one of those and their main ideas as like a web for each one of those subheadings. So we had description, and here's my main idea of that entire section. Smaller than the soft-shelled turtles, adult male loggerhead turtles are about 250 pounds and use their wide heads and strong jaws to eat shellfish. That's what we came up with our main idea and details from our last lesson. And then today we looked at habitat, that section. Located in the deep oceans of the world and shallow coastal waters, loggerhead turtles travel many miles to build their nests. I've done the same thing with biology, threats, and conservation. I did my graphic organizer, I jotted down my notes on my note catcher, and then I found the main idea of that section. So now if we look back to our passage, look how long this is. It's very long, and sometimes it can be really hard to try to figure out what the main idea is and write a summary. So taking back all of those notes that we just did, I shrunk and added them all together, and I made my summary. So in threatened, loggerhead turtles continue to face threats on both water and land because of pollution and natural predators. You'll see that's our main idea of our entire passage. Smaller than the soft-shelled turtles, adult male loggerhead turtles are about 250 pounds and use their wide heads and strong jaws to eat shellfish. That's our main idea from our description. Located in the deep oceans of the world and shallow coastal waters, loggerhead turtles travel many miles to build their nests. That's from habitat, our main idea from habitat. Loggerheads build their nests on the beaches, and then the small hatchlings make their way to the ocean. That's the biology section. Because of pollution in the oceans and predators on land, loggerhead turtles are a vulnerable species. That is the main idea from threats, that section. All over the world, people are reducing pollution and protecting turtle nesting areas. And that is our main idea from the conservation section. So again, to find it and get our summary, I came up with the main idea as my topic sentence for the whole passage. And then I used my graphic organizer to find the main idea of each subheading in sections. And I took all of those sentences and I smushed them all together and made my summary. So now for my extension activity. It's called Insta Summary. So the materials you may need are a piece of paper, some construction paper, if you have it, scissors, colored pencils, markers, and glue. Of course, if you don't have glue, you can always just use tape, and if you don't have scissors, you can also just rip or tear paper. So for my Insta Summary, what you're gonna do is you're gonna read a passage. And I have my example is from Threatened, what we read today. Then I'm gonna make my web with all of my little graphic organizers, and in the middle is my main idea of the entire passage. After I've done that, I'm gonna write my summary, just like we did today. If you wanna draw a picture, you wanna find a picture, you can do that as well. And the last thing you're gonna do is you're going to pretend you're doing an Insta story. And so you can videotape yourself saying your summary, and then you can share it with your family and friends. And here's my QR code. At the beginning, I mentioned that you could scan a QR code at the end. You can have the directions for my Insta Summary activity, and also you can find another passage so that you can practice this skill of summarizing using the graphic organizer. Remember, our code today, our secret word for the day is oceans, and so please remember to tell your teacher or your parents so that they can let your teacher know. Thank you for joining me today, and I really appreciate it.